My beloved brothers and sisters, sometimes silence says more than words ever could. Sometimes your pain is too deep for your lips to describe. And sometimes the world walks by not noticing the weight you carry. But remember this powerful truth. Allah sees. You don't have to speak. This world may overlook your tears, but your Creator never does. Your sleepless nights, your silent sobs, your quiet prayers, none of it goes unnoticed. Allah knows. Allah is Al-Basir, the all-seeing. Not a leaf falls, not a whisper is uttered, not a tear rolls down your cheek except that He knows it in full detail. There are moments in life when your tongue becomes heavy, when your heart is too full to speak, and when the weight of what you're going through simply can't be turned into words. And in those moments, it is your tears that begin to speak. Your soul communicates with your Lord in a way the people around you can't understand. While others look for words, Allah listens to the silent language of your heart. He hears the pain, the longing, the confusion, and the fear all without a single syllable being uttered. Never underestimate a single tear shed in sujood. It may feel like weakness to the world, but in the sight of Allah, it is a powerful act of surrender. That tear is a witness. It testifies that you turned to Him when there was no one else to turn to. It speaks volumes about your reliance on Him, your humility before Him, and your belief that only He can help you out of what you're in. And the beauty of it all, Allah doesn't just see your tears, He responds to them. He knows what caused them. He knows the depth of your pain, and He knows how to heal you in ways you never imagined. How often have you cried when everyone else was asleep? No one else saw those moments, but Allah did. You felt the warmth of your tears, but He knew the exact reason behind each one. Some of those tears were shed in fear, some in hope, some in desperation, and some in gratitude. Every tear that falls sincerely in His remembrance is precious in His sight. It's not lost. It's not wasted. It's recorded, and it draws you closer to Him. Think of the righteous before Ash. How many of them cried silently in the depths of the night? How many prophets and pious people turned to Allah, not through speeches or long conversations, but through their brokenness, through their quiet weeping, through their complete submission. And Allah answered them. Not because they shouted, not because they explained everything, but because they trusted Him. Because they spoke with sincerity, even when it was just between their heart and their Creator. Sometimes you try to explain your pain to others and they don't get it. They may dismiss it or tell you you're overthinking. They may say, just be strong, not realizing how much strength it already takes for you to keep going. That's when you realize the comfort of knowing that Allah doesn't require you to explain yourself. He knows. He knows when you're hurting and still helping others. He knows when you're breaking inside but smiling for the sake of your family. He knows the 1,000 thoughts running through your mind that you haven't been able to say out loud. And He still loves you. He still listens. He still responds. You see, people often want clarity. They want words. They want you to communicate your situation. But what if you don't even know how to put it into words? That's the mercy of our Lord. He doesn't need words. He created you. He knows you better than you know yourself. He knows what you want even when you don't know how to ask for it. He knows what you're running from, what you're holding back, what you're yearning for. That's why He's the best one to turn to when no one else understands. And that's exactly why the night is so special. When the world goes quiet and your surroundings are still, it's not just sleep that you're being called to. It's intimacy with your Lord. It's a moment for your heart to express what it couldn't during the chaos of the day. It's a time for that tear to fall, not out of despair, but out of a deep realization that Allah is near, that He's closer to you than your jugular vein, that even in your silence, He knows your voice. Let's remember something profound. The du'as you make with your tears are among the most powerful supplications because they come from the depths of your soul. You may not remember the exact words you said. You may have just whispered a broken plea, but Allah remembers. He never forgets. And even if the answer is delayed, it's never ignored. Every sincere cry is being stored, and every tear is watering the seeds of your answered prayer. The moment will come when you'll see it all come together and you'll realize that none of it was in vain. And while you're going through that pain, never think you are alone. You might be physically alone. You might be in a room with no one else or surrounded by people who don't understand what you're carrying. But in reality, you are never truly alone. The one who created you is watching. Not in a judgmental way, not in a critical way, but in the most loving and merciful way possible. He sees your silent battles. He sees your quiet strength. He sees you choosing to stay firm when it would be easier to give up. Imagine that. The creator of the heavens and the earth is aware of what you're enduring. He sees your patience when things are falling apart. He sees your attempts to hold on to faith when your mind is full of doubts. He sees your efforts to continue doing good even when you're drained. That's what makes your worship so beloved to him. Because you're not worshiping out of comfort, you're worshiping through hardship. And that worship in those moments is a sign of your sincerity. The heart finds comfort in this knowledge. Because no matter how isolated you feel, you're never truly isolated. The angels are recording, your Lord is watching, and his help is never far away. His help may not always come in the form you expect, but it always comes in the form that is best. Sometimes the help is strength to endure. Sometimes it's peace in the storm. Sometimes it's the right person showing up at the right time, and sometimes it's a door closing to protect you from something you didn't know would harm you. And in those moments when you feel like the struggle is too much, remind yourself that nothing you're going through is without purpose. Allah doesn't test you randomly. He tests you out of wisdom. He chooses your tests based on what he knows you can handle, even when you don't believe in yourself. He sends difficulty not to break you, but to build you, to bring out a version of you that you didn't know existed. And through it all, he sees your patience, he sees your silent trust, and he is preparing a reward for you that far exceeds this world. It's comforting to know that even when people abandon you, Allah never will. Even when they forget you, he never does. He is the most faithful, the most just, the most kind. And what you turn to him with in sincerity, he will respond to in love. Sometimes the tears you shed today are the reason for your ease tomorrow. Sometimes the pain you silently endure becomes the reason your sins are wiped away and your ranks are raised. That's why it's so important to guard your heart. Don't let the silence of others make you believe that you are alone. Don't let the absence of help from people make you forget that Allah's help is always near. He is the one who can change your entire situation with a single command. Be, and it is. He is the one who holds the hearts of people. If he wills, he can send you ease in the most unexpected ways. But until that ease arrives, remain steadfast, remain sincere. Keep turning to him in your quiet moments and let your heart speak when your tongue can't. Your relationship with Allah is not based on perfect articulation. It's based on sincerity. It's based on truthfulness. That means even if all you say is, Ya Allah, help me, and you say it with a heart full of faith, he responds. Because he sees what's behind that call. He sees the nights you didn't sleep. He sees the days you felt like giving up. He sees the patience you showed when no one thanked you. He sees the forgiveness you gave when you could have taken revenge. All of it is seen. All of it is known. And none of it is ever wasted. If you're in pain, if your heart is heavy, if your eyes are tired of crying, know that your Lord is near. Speak to him. Even if you can't find the words, let your tears be your dua. Let your silence be filled with trust. And rest in the certainty that the one who sees all things is already working on what's best for you. You don't need the approval of the world. You need only the nearness of your Lord. And once you have that, you have everything. Sometimes we feel overwhelmed by what we're going through, and naturally we look around for someone who can understand. We want someone to hear us, to feel our pain, to reassure us that everything is going to be okay. But the reality is, not everyone has the capacity to understand your pain, and not everyone can carry your burdens. That's why the most beautiful part of your journey through hardship is the realization that you don't need to scream out for help when the one who is most merciful already knows what's inside your heart. He knows the whisper that never made it to your lips. He knows the trembling of your hands when you were trying to be strong. He knows the nights when you cried into your pillow and then wiped your face before anyone could see. You didn't speak, but he heard everything. You see, our Rabb is not like the creation. When people help you, they need to hear your side. They need you to explain. They want details. Sometimes they want you to justify your feelings. But when you turn to Allah, He doesn't need any of that. He doesn't need an explanation. He already knows. And that is one of the most comforting truths of our faith, that your Lord is already aware of what you're going through, and He is more merciful to you than you are to yourself. Even before you raise your hands, even before your eyes fill with tears, even before the heaviness settles in your chest, He knows, and He is already preparing a way out for you. It's a very different kind of relationship, the one between the servant and his Creator. Because when you cry to people, they get tired. They might comfort you once, twice, but eventually they say, you have to move on. They might tell you they're busy, they may not be available, but Allah is always available. He never tires of you. You could come back to Him 1,000 times a day, and each time you are welcomed with the same mercy, the same love, the same closeness. And what's even more beautiful is that sometimes you don't even need to say anything. Your silence is heard. Your breath, your pause, your heart beatitudes, all part of your dua, and it is all received by the one who never turns away a broken heart. Some of the most powerful du'as ever made were not long. They were not loud. They were not even fully spoken. Think of the Prophet Yunus when he was in the belly of the whale. He didn't give a lecture. He didn't recite long passages. He called out sincerely from a place of darkness, both physical and spiritual, and Allah heard him. The walls of the ocean were not a barrier. The belly of the whale was not a barrier. Nothing can block your prayer from reaching Allah if it comes from a sincere heart. So never think that your dua is too quiet. Never believe that you have to raise your voice for it to be accepted. What matters is the sincerity behind it, not the volume. When you are in pain, your soul begins to call out. It may not be with words, but with tears, with sighs, with silence. That silence carries meaning. It carries your trust. It carries your belief that even if no one else sees, Allah sees. And that's why you don't need to panic when life becomes difficult. Because the one who controls your situation is not distant. He is near. Nearer to you than your own jugular vein. And He is not only watching, but He is responding. Every time you turn to Him, He responds. Sometimes with ease, sometimes with strength, sometimes with peace, but always with wisdom and love. You might find yourself wondering why the help hasn't come yet, why the problem still exists, why the tears still come. But maybe that delay is mercy in disguise. Maybe the pain you are feeling is purifying you. Maybe the silence is bringing you closer to Allah. Maybe it's during those moments that your dua reaches a level of sincerity that you've never experienced before. And maybe that's exactly what you needed, not the solution, but the connection. Because once you are connected to Allah, you are never truly in despair. Even if the pain continues, your heart is anchored. Some of the loudest cries we make are not heard by human ears. They're made in private. They're made with trembling hearts and tear-filled eyes. And those are the ones that are most beloved to Allah. Because they are real. They are not for show. They are not filtered. They are raw and they are honest. When you weep in sajda, when you whisper His name in the depths of the night, when you simply say, Ya Allah, with no other words to follow, that cry is louder in the heavens than anything you could say aloud. There are people who cry every night but go about their day smiling. They help others, they serve their families, they show up at work. No one knows what they're carrying. No one sees the pain behind the patience. But Allah does. He sees every silent act of worship. Every quiet struggle, every small victory that no one celebrates but Him. And He will reward you in full. not just for your deeds, but for your resilience, for your trust, for your silent submission to His will. When your heart speaks, even if your tongue is still, Allah responds. And sometimes His response is not what you expect, but what you need. He may not remove the hardship immediately, but He gives you strength to bear it. He may not fix the problem right away, but He grants you wisdom, patience, and clarity. And slowly you begin to realize that what you're going through is not a punishment, it's a purification, it's a preparation, it's a path to something better. If you've ever felt like crying but didn't want anyone to see, know that those are some of the most powerful spiritual moments. That hidden tear you shed is a witness. On the day of judgment, when deeds are brought forward, even that tear will speak. It will say, I fell out of fear of you, out of love for you, out of longing for your help. And Allah in His infinite mercy will honor that moment. So never belittle your silent cries. They may not echo in the ears of people, but they resound in the heavens. Don't think that your silence means your prayer has gone unanswered. Sometimes your silence is the prayer. Sometimes your inability to speak is a form of worship, because in that silence, your heart is connected. Your soul is calling out in ways words cannot. And that connection is more powerful than any spoken dua, because it's sincere, it's desperate, and it's real. When life breaks you down, when you find yourself confused, broken, and unable to articulate what you're feeling, turn to the one who understands you without words. You don't need a formal introduction. You don't need perfect speech. All you need is a heart that is willing, a heart that is open, a heart that is turning back. And the moment you do that, the moment you turn even slightly toward Him, He comes to you faster than you can imagine. Because He never abandons His servants. He never turns away the one who calls upon Him, especially when that call comes with sincerity. People may ask you, why don't you speak up? They may think you're quiet because you're weak. But in reality, silence often comes from strength, from knowing that Allah is in control. That there's no need to explain everything when He already knows. You don't need to prove your pain to people when the one who created you is already fully aware of it. So you smile, you carry on, you do what you can. And you leave the rest to the one who sees all. The next time you feel overwhelmed, remember that you are not voiceless in the eyes of Allah. Even your silence is heard. The pain you can't describe is known. The fear you can't name is seen. And the future you worry about is already written by the one who never makes mistakes. So put your trust in Him. Rely on His timing. Rest in His plan. Because whatever you're going through, He is with you. Watching, guiding, sustaining. He is not unaware of the burden you carry. He is not blind to your tears. He is not distant from your struggle. He is closer than you think. And when your heart speaks in the language of sincerity, He responds with mercy that has no limit. So don't give up. Keep turning to Him. Even if all you can do is whisper His name or let a tear fall in sajda, that is enough. That is powerful. That is real. Sometimes people misunderstand patience. They think patience means not crying, not feeling broken, not showing any signs of struggle. They think patience is about putting on a brave face even when you are hurting deeply inside. But in reality, patience is not about hiding your pain. It is about directing that pain toward the right place. It's not about being silent so that people think you're strong. It's about placing your trust in the one who already knows how strong you've been trying to be. Real patience is when you're crumbling inside, yet you still say, Alhamdulillah, when your heart feels like it's being torn apart, but your tongue continues to praise the one who has the power to heal it. When your soul aches from what it cannot express, and you still raise your hands in prayer, knowing full well that the one who sees your silence will never abandon you. There are moments in life when words fail. When you try to express what you're going through, but even you don't understand it fully. that's where the beauty of your relationship with Allah begins to shine. Because He doesn't need an explanation. You don't need to put your feelings into words for Him to respond. You don't need to construct long speeches or prepare arguments. He knows your pain better than you do. He wrote your story before you lived it. Every tear you've cried, every hardship you've faced, every test you've endured, none of it is outside His knowledge. It's all part of His perfect wisdom. When people expect you to explain yourself, when they ask why you're not speaking up, why you're not seeking help, why you seem so calm while everything is falling apart, remember that patience isn't about being emotionless. It's about being anchored in trust, anchored in belief that what's happening is not random, that there's a plan, and that plan belongs to the most merciful. Patience is when you acknowledge your pain, but you don't let it consume your trust in Allah. It's when you say, yes, I am hurting, but I know my Rabb is watching and He will get me through this. One of the most comforting truths is that Allah sees every moment of silence you experience. The quiet du'as you make in the depth of the night, the times you bite your tongue just to keep the peace, the times you smile through pain so that others don't worry. He sees when your heart wants to scream, but your lips choose to stay silent, trusting that He will handle what you cannot. And in those moments, you are not weak, you are patient, you are not being passive, you are being spiritually powerful. Because patience is one of the most beloved qualities in the sight of Allah. And it is through patience that believers are distinguished. Don't ever feel like your struggle is invisible just because people don't notice it. Don't feel like you need to make an announcement about your pain. You don't need to broadcast your hardship to be validated. You don't need to convince people that your suffering is real. The one who matters already knows, and that is enough, because what is recorded with Him will never be forgotten. He has counted every sigh, every teardrop, every sleepless night. Nothing escapes His awareness, and He will reward you not only for your actions, but for your ability to bear what others couldn't even see. Sometimes the people around you don't know the battles you're facing. They don't see the depth of your pain, and they judge your silence as indifference. But they don't realize that your silence is filled with dua, that your tears are your prayer, that your patience is your worship, that what you're holding inside is not a lack of faith, but a sign of deep reliance on the one who created you. There are battles being fought in silence every day. And the believers who fight them with trust in Allah are honored in ways no one else can see. It's okay if the people around you don't understand your pain. It's okay if they misinterpret your calmness, because your story was not written for them to understand. It was written by the one who sees your soul. And He is the one who planned your journey. Sometimes Allah writes pain into your story, not to break you, but to bring you closer to Him, to remind you that He is the only constant. That no matter who comes and goes, He remains. That when the whole world misunderstands you, He understands you completely. That's why you don't need to explain your pain to everyone. You don't need to convince others of how difficult your life has been, because Allah already wrote it. He already knows how much it hurts. He already knows what you've been through. And not only does He know, He cares. He is not distant from your suffering. He is not unaware. He is with you through every moment. He watches over you, supports you, strengthens you, and most importantly, He never leaves you. The believer learns to find peace in that knowledge. Even when things don't make sense, even when it feels like the pain won't end, even when the heart is tired and the mind is heavy, the believer says, Ya Allah, You wrote this into my story, so I trust that there's wisdom in it. I trust that You are guiding me through it. And I trust that You will not burden me with more than I can bear. This trust becomes a shield. It becomes a light. It becomes the source of calm in the storm. Sometimes your patience isn't about holding back tears, but about letting them fall in sajda. It's about taking your pain to the one who gave you a heart that feels so deeply. It's about knowing that even the pain you feel has a purpose. That there is reward in your struggle. That there is growth in your hardship. That every difficulty is shaping you into someone stronger, someone more connected, someone more conscious of the reality of this world and the beauty of the next. The problem with the world today is that we've started to rely on people to validate our pain. We post our sadness online. We share our tears in public spaces. And sometimes we forget that the most healing conversations happen in solitude between you and your Rabb. Those are the moments that count, the ones no one else sees. The ones that are not shared, not liked, not commented on, but are treasured in the heavens. That is where your real healing begins. In the quiet moments when you speak to Him, or even when you're too tired to speak and you just feel, and He receives it all. There's something incredibly powerful about knowing that your pain has already been written. That whatever you are facing was known by Allah before you even existed. That it is not a surprise to Him. And that He also wrote your healing. He wrote the day the burden will be lifted. He wrote the peace that will replace the storm. He wrote the strength you will find in the process. So don't rush the plan. Don't lose hope just because you can't see the outcome. The story is still unfolding, and the one writing it is the most wise. Patience doesn't mean you don't act. It doesn't mean you just sit and wait. It means you do your part while trusting in Allah's part. It means you try, you strive, you make dua, and then you surrender to His will. It means you understand that sometimes what you think you want is not what you need. That sometimes the delay is not a rejection but a redirection. And that every closed door leads to something better if you stay firm in your belief that Allah is always guiding you. When you remember that patience is about trusting, not pretending, you start to find strength in your vulnerability. You start to realize that it's okay to be broken because your Lord is the one who mends. That it's okay to be lost because He is the one who guides. That it's okay to cry because He is the one who responds. You don't have to explain yourself to anyone. You just need to return to the one who already understands. And once you do, you'll find that even the heaviest pain becomes easier to carry. Even when no one checks on you, even when no one seems to care, even when you're all alone, remember that you are never truly alone. The one who wrote your pain into your story is also the one who walks you through it. He is the one who is always there, always listening, always ready to respond. So don't let your silence make you feel forgotten. Don't let your pain make you feel abandoned. You are being watched with love. You are being carried with mercy. You are being written into a story that will make sense one day. And when that day comes, when the hardship finally passes, when the burden is finally lifted, you look back and realize that every moment of silence, every tear, every sleepless night was not wasted. It was all seen. It was all recorded. It was all worth it. Because it brought you closer to the one who created you. And that closeness is the greatest reward of all. So the next time you feel invisible, remind yourself, Allah sees. The next time you feel too broken to speak, remember, Allah already knows. And the next time you wonder if it's worth it to continue doing good when no one seems to notice, remind yourself, the one who matters already noticed. This is not about being seen by the world. This is about being seen by the one who controls the world. And that, my beloved brothers and sisters, is enough. May Allah grant us sincerity in our hearts, clarity in our intentions, and strength to continue doing good even when it goes unnoticed. Ameen.